Hey guys, coming to you from my house where sheetrock is just starting, and on this video I'm going to show you the 5 places that you need to put blocking. That's right, all those pieces of wood you see in the wall behind me are there in a specific place for a specific reason. There's 5 places you need blocking in your house pre-sheetrock, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do blocks and 1 tip that's going to make it a little bit easier. Today's build show all about pre-sheetrock blocking. Let's get going. All right guys, critical to have blocking in your house. We all know this. And by the way, I'm not going to talk specifically about fire blocking. That's a whole nother type of blocking that you need to be really cautious about. What I'm talking about is things that are going to be installed later that need to make sure they have a structural connection. That's the kind of blocking that I'm specifically talking about in this video. So I've mentioned 5 places. Number 1, kitchen. This is where the massive amount of blocking is. Now, the first thing I would tell you would be talk to your cabinet maker and verify where they want the blocking on the house. My countertops are a little bit higher than most. The top of my counters are actually going to be 39. And so you'll notice that the top of my blocks is from 39 on down, which means that my base cabinet is going to get screwed in right here. The base cabinets are going to have a ledger on the back that they're going to get screwed in. So I place mine at 39 and below. My upper cabinets on the house, most of the time in an 8-foot or a 9-foot ceiling situation, are going to go to the ceiling, and that's the case here. I've got 9-foot ceilings. You're going to see I've got a 2x6 that I sunk all the way up. But I also wanted some support at the base of that upper cabinet because I've got some backsplash and a little countertop here. So this cabinet, you need to, or this block I should say, you need to verify with your cabinet maker where that's going. So if you look at mine, the base of mine is 52 down from the ceiling, or actually it probably makes more sense for me to think about it this way. I've got 39-inch countertop height, and then typically you're gonna have around 18 inches, let's say, of backsplash, and then from there on up is where you're gonna need that blocking so that you can get it. And that's basically where my under counter low voltage light is stubbed out as well. So if you look at my kitchen, you pan this, you're gonna see all those lower blocks. There are a couple places where I wasn't able to install them because I had some utilities. Don't worry about that, but make sure you get a good picture of these walls. And this is kind of a side tip, a bonus for you, if you will. Make sure you take pictures of all those special places where you're adding blocking so that you can print those out. They don't need to be anything special, just black and white. And that way your carpenter, your cabinet installer, whoever knows what's going on that wall. That's really a great way to go, especially when you think about things like this. I've got this pipe right here, which is venting my kitchen sink. That pipe is coming straight up and then going all the way over. You're gonna see a bunch of stud shoes in the way. This is gonna be harder to install cabinets. Now these happen to be just about below where my blocking needs. So I'm able to make that. And in fact, I talked to my cabinet maker, David, who's installing my crystal cabinets with benchmark cabinetry pretty soon. Hey guys, quick interruption for today's video. I want to give a plug for one of my longtime sponsors, Buildertrend. You know, I moved to their software to run my business about 4.5 years ago. And I got to tell you, it has made a giant difference in my operations and my profitability. If you're a builder, remodeler, specialty contractor, this is really good software for you. Now, you've heard me probably talk about their desktop and how I use that at the office, but I also want to tell you about their mobile app. They've got a fantastic mobile app that in the field, when I'm building my own house, I can check schedule, I can do to-do lists, I can also take pictures of my jobs in progress so that, for instance, I have a remote client. This is how they'd check in on progress and see what's actually happening on the job. You can also use an iPad or an iPhone to sign a change order right on the job. And if you've got hourly employees, there's time clock feature on here as well. Really, really good software. If you're interested, click on the link in the description below. You can schedule a demo with these guys. Their people are really good and they understand our industry. It can show you how this software could actually benefit your specific business and how you run your operation. Anyways, check that link in the description below. Let's get back to the build show. Next up, number 2, specialty areas. I've got a few places in the house that I need blocking that you could go without, but it's really nice. And one of those areas on the specialty side is your HVAC vents. I'm gonna have an Ecobee thermostat here. I wanna drop that thermostat right in this spot and be able to screw right into some plywood. Now, two types of blocking. I mentioned this earlier in the video. Most of the places I'm gonna use 2x material, and I would highly recommend you go as wide as possible, but get this out of the trash pile. As I'm in construction, often when I talk to my framer, I'm gonna say, hey, store those 2x6, 2x8. If you have any 2x8, 2x10 or 12s, store those in a spot so that you can cut those up for blocks later. But there's also a few places where, for whatever reason, I may not be able to get a full 2x in there. Some 3/4 plywood works great. You probably have seen these before. This is a pocket screw. Craig makes a great jig. You're just gonna screw that, or drill that out rather, drop a screw on there. Now we've got a nice 3/4 plywood in there. Okay, number 3, stairwells. Unfortunately, I missed this. I should have probably shot this video earlier in the day before the sheetrock guys got here. But let's talk about stair codes. I need to have a handrail on my stair codes, and those handrails are needing to be blocked for. And what I want is 32 inches off the finished tread. Oops, let me drop my tape back on there. So in this case, if I were to drop a screw right here at 32 off the finished tread, but I need to add 3/4, so my tread, 32 and 3/4, that's where I need a block. And I'm also gonna wanna do that at least at the midpoint, sometimes on the third points as well. And that's gonna be horizontal blocking. Actually, you can see just a little bit up there at the top of the stairs. But I forgot to mention this. Let me grab my story pole. I think it's a great idea when you're marking these blocks to make a story pole. It's just a leftover piece of 1x4. And what I did was I took the measurements that were critical, mark those on a story pole, and then if you're doing these yourself, you can put those blocks in once you measure those and mark them. Or you might, if you're a builder marking this for the frame carpenter, use some orange spray paint, use a Milwaukee Sharpie, any of those kinds of things. Okay, let's transition to the third area, which is bathrooms. Bathrooms are critical for blocking as well, because we're gonna have hardware that needs to be installed in bathrooms. And so many people have those rip out. This is my master bath. I've got 2 vanities on either side. And I've got some blocking over here from my main towel bar. I actually have a Mr. Steam heated towel bar. That's what this electrical floor is. And with that specific towel bar, it showed me where I needed blocking. So I ran a ton of blocking so that I have nice solid 2x material in the wall for that. Now I also have a towel bar rather, to the right of my wife's vanity right here, and I happened to land in a pocket door area. This is a metal pocket door frame from Cavity Sliders, which I really like. But because it's metal, we had to do something different. Let me show you what we did here. So my wife's gonna have either a towel bar or a ring here. We cut a piece of 7/16 zip. That looks good. And the way I'm gonna fasten it, I think I could use some sheet metal screws, but you know, this actually works easier and it's faster. If you've not used it, PL Premium, this is awesome stuff. And this happens to be their fast grab version. Great, great choice. So pop that in your little Tajima gun. And we're gonna put a nice healthy bead on that corner. And I found this stuff sticks really well, even to non-porous surfaces. And that's the key in this install, is you need a glue that's gonna stick to a non-porous surface like steel, or this is actually an aluminum frame. And there we go. And like I said, I could put some sheet metal screws in here as well, but this will hold it no problem. And then when the sheetrock gets on tomorrow, when the hangers are this, I think we're good to go. Put one little extra fat bead right there. Okay. And if we took our measurements right, looks like we did, that's gonna fit in there perfectly. Because it's that fast grab, oh man, it's grab. They literally mean fast grab. It doesn't take a whole lot to hold it, but I'm gonna use a little of my T-Rex tape here. keep a roll of this at the job for all kinds of reasons. And this works as a perfect clamp. I'm actually going to strike that where that came out. I'll strike that down. And I don't even really need to remove this duct tape. That can stay in the cavity after I hang sheetrock, and we're good to go. Nice and flush, nice and solid. When I add those towel bar screws or a ring, good to go. Okay, the next blocking that we want to think about is our toilet paper holders. And typically your toilet paper holders are going to be somewhere around 24 inches off the finished floor. So what I did here was I ran blocking a little high and a little low on that. But I also added some blocking for a possible future grab rail. I plan on being in this house for a long time. If I need a grab rail in this bathroom, usually grab rails are mounted at 36 inches. So I've mounted all this blocking right here so I could have a grab rail right there by my toilet. One more thing that I want to mention before we leave here, this is kind of a side note, but wherever I had some specialty blocking is where I used the plywood like I did for that HVAC vent. And in this case, I've got an access panel for a plumbing connection. There's actually a hose bib back there. That's just a little Oatey branded frame. We used a little bit of that plywood there where we could fit it in, and that shallow depth for the plywood is nice because now I still have insulation and I still have some plumbing on that outside wall. For those of you who are going to comment, I also have exterior insulation, so that is a fully insulated wall. Okay, next up, door trim. This is a cased opening going into this little access hallway. Think about your door casing. If that door casing is, let's say, 4 inches wide, as it comes down, that casing is going to overhang the two studs that are framing the opening, which means that when that comes down, I'm not going to have anything to nail my base into. This is a critical area that often misses some blocking. So think about all those areas and kind of think about your finish carpenter arriving, nailing your doors in first. Usually doors are installed first and then base gets installed. Once that door trim's on, we really want something to nail that base into. I think that's it, guys. That's the main areas. If you get those 5 areas in your house right, everything else will fall into place. Comment below if there's some specialty blocking that I missed or that you can think of. And I do want to mention that I'm going to have a link to a couple of articles. Insider Carpentry, another YouTube channel, has some great videos on blocking. Fine Home Building has a great article on it. And I also saw a great slide deck from our friends at Habitat for Humanity on blocking. So I'll put those 3 in there. If you're in the process right now, you want a repetition on these numbers or what they recommend, I'll put those 3 links in the description. Guys, if you're not currently a Build Show subscriber, hit that subscribe button. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.